The glory days were no more. The mob was a shell of its former self, even if Fat Bobby, asleep next to me in the passenger seat, wasn't going to blow away with the next strong breeze. The moniker didn't fit the body. He was anything but fat. He should have been called Tank or Fridge or Bulldog. At 5'8" and 240, the septuagenarian fireplug would still be a first-round draft pick in any barroom brawl. There was no quit. You could knock him down, but he wouldn't stay there. Though the Mafia may be emaciated and on life support, Fat Bobby still had a lot of fight left. Prior to joining the FBI, I read everything I could on the mob, a crime problem rooted in centuries of history, familial culture, and color. Structure and order prevailed, male and female roles distinctly defined, values, though perverted, clearly delineated. Reality became the myth. Lucky Luciano, Scarface Al Capone, Crazy Joe Gallo, Jimmy Hoffa, Carlo Gambino. I couldn't get enough. I watched the Godfather trilogy enough times to have memorized the most important lines. Maybe on this assignment I could flood the conversations with wisdom from the movie. Keep your friends close but your enemies closer. Or, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Or, the most memorable one, I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. I wish I could have worked the LCN, the La Cosa Nostra, what some call the Italian Mafia, when it was really a threat to this nation. But FBI-led task forces across the country wiped out all but a fringe element of the legendary organized crime cabal. There will always be the rich past. There will always be war stories handed down from generations of Mafia crime fighters. But let's face it, the families never recovered from the continual onslaught of investigation upon investigation. Omerta, literally to be a man, was their oath of silence, their promise to never disclose the organization's structure or secrets. But it became just another word in the criminal lexicon with no core meaning to those wrapped up in a federal investigation. The pledge meant nothing to even some of the highest-ranking members who dumped all over their underlings in an effort to ameliorate harsh punishments. It was one thing to take a government-imposed vacation on a bookmaking beef, but when RICO and mandatory minimum narcotic statutes were being handed down by federal grand juries, defendants sang like the Vienna Boys Choir. The wise guys raced to the courthouse, hemorrhaging information hoping to avoid a life sentence. The Witness Protection Program became a secondary mailing address for those defectors who played tough guys on the street but melted with the threat of a lengthy confinement. About the only guys who stood tall were those on the commission, the mob's board of directors who set the criminal agenda and resolved disputes. The commission case spelled the beginning of the end. It happened while I was in elementary school, but its impact can be measured today. U.S. Attorney Rudy Giuliani, who went on to become mayor of the Big Apple and a presidential candidate, led the team of prosecutors who brought an indictment against 11 organized crime figures, including the bosses of the 5 New York families, all commission members. Michael Chertoff, who would eventually become the head of Homeland Security, championed the case in court for the government. Their mission from the beginning was to wipe out those sitting on the commission and their La Cosa Nostra families. The entire hierarchy of the New York Mafia was bugged, and for several years the FBI was privy to the inner workings of the organization. Charged under RICO, the Racketeer-Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, the counts included murder for hire, extortion, and labor racketeering, mainstays of organized crime. The trial lasted 3 months, and the defendants were convicted on all 151 counts. Ouch. The bosses of the 5 families, Big Paul Castellano, Fat Tony Salerno, Tony Dux Corallo, Junior Persico, and Rusty Restelli, were sentenced to 100 years, not easily served when each of the defendants was AARP eligible. The mob was crippled and never recovered.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.